Hi, today Virgo in 2021, that's what I'm going to talk about. Your sign or your ascendant or rising sign, whichever it is. This video concerns you or someone you know who was born under this sign or with a Virgo rising. So Virgo is number 6 around the zodiac, number 1 being Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo. It is what we call an earth sign, and as such it is in relation with the realities of life. Down to earth people are often born under this sign and or with the rising sign or the ascendant in this sign. So in 2021 things are going to change because two planets, two important, very important planets, are going to move away from where they were in 2020 to have a different influence in 2021. According to your sign or your ascendant, you should feel it from the end of the year, this year, 2020. Today is the 11th of August, 2020. So, I make those videos much before the beginning of the year so that you can watch it and get prepared for what is going to happen, or for the way in which the various energies represented by the planets around the zodiac may affect or enhance your life in various ways. So we'll begin with the influences of the greatest planets around the solar system, the two giant ones. They're called Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn are going to leave Capricorn, where Saturn has been since the 21st of December 2017, and for Jupiter it was only in December 2019 that its transit in Capricorn began. So both planets are going to change sign 2 days apart. For Saturn it's going to happen on the 17th of December, and for Jupiter on the 19th of December. So both planets are going to move into Aquarius, and that's going to change their influence on your sign, on your ascendant. You see, while Jupiter and Saturn together with Pluto, which is here in Capricorn as well, Pluto will remain in Capricorn until about 2024. When those three were in Capricorn, they were forming a good configuration with your sign here. Earth and Earth. Capricorn is an Earth sign, so the three Earth signs are complementary to one another and compatible with one another. So it meant that you probably were to some extent protected, and you probably also gained from certain situations and the way you behaved in 2020, regardless of what was going on in the world, because that was, or that is still a very, of course, very important year, a historical year, like I called it when I made the video about 2020 in September 2019. If you want to watch the video, don't hesitate. It's still online on the YouTube channel. You can also watch the video that deals with your sign or your rising sign for 2020. It's also still online, of course, so don't hesitate to watch it. You'll gain some useful, I think anyway, I hope, information for you. So when Jupiter and Saturn move into Aquarius, the angle forming with your sign or your ascendant is going to change. It is going to be is going to change. It is going to be an inconjunct aspect. That's what we call it. And the inconjunct aspect is what we call also an ambiguous aspect. So it represents a tendency that you may feel or that you may have to sort of be quite positive and optimistic and enthusiastic about doing something, getting involved in a new project or venture, whatever it may be. It is going to motivate you. But there will be another side of your personality that will tend to slow things down, because you may not be sure of what you're going to gain from the enthusiasm that you may show in some areas of your life. So you'll need to be quite careful, because the conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn in itself is ambiguous, because Jupiter represents the very positive side of our personality, whereas Saturn represents the pessimistic side of our personality. So the two are going to cohabit, and the cohabitation is not going to be quite simple, especially because it transits. They transit in Aquarius, which is the people's sign. So it represents actually the world as far as the human communities are concerned. So there will be a lot of ups and downs, and you may be influenced by what is going on around you, and that will incite you to hesitate rather than, benefit from the opportunities that will come forward. You may tend to be quite skeptical and over-prudent, perhaps. And also it means that you may have that tendency as well to say, okay, it looks very nice, but I will wait until tomorrow, next week, next month, to make a choice, to make a decision. And then you may miss out on a very good opportunity to make things go better for you. So it is quite difficult to say what is going to happen, because the ambiguity of this configuration will probably have an effect in your life, in your professional life. Work is represented by the sixth sector, and this is the sixth sign from yours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the sixth sector represents, or the sixth house, as we call them in astrology, represents work. Work, so your professional surrounding, your activity as well, what you do to earn money, to earn your bread, your daily bread, to pay for the rent and so on. So there will be probably something that may seem quite promising, and at the same time something that is not promising at all. Are you going to be able to make the right choice? This is what I am asking myself. It's not 100% guaranteed, and because it's not 100% guaranteed, maybe it would be better for you to wait a bit, later. When Jupiter, because that planet is very faster than Saturn to revolve around the zodiac. Jupiter takes 12 years to do the full circle around the zodiac, and Saturn 29 and a half years. So it's a much slower planet. Saturn is going to remain in Aquarius until March 2023. And I think that until then, it will put pressure in the area of work and health as well, because house number 6, or the sixth sector, represents health and work. The two are linked together, because if you are not in good health, you cannot work, and if you don't have a job, perhaps it's going to make you ill. So health and work are linked together. They're under the same representation in the around the zodiac. So that is a sign that things will need to be handled in a different way in 2021 than perhaps you've handled them in 2020. When Jupiter, which is once again faster than Saturn, moves away for a while, because there will be a transit of Jupiter in Pisces in 2021, but the planet is going to retrograde and come back in Aquarius. So Jupiter will start a timid, I would say, transit in Pisces on the 13th of May. And that is going to last until the 29th of July, 28th of July. Here you can see 28th of July. So that means that during this short period, a couple of months or a bit more than a couple of months, Jupiter will allow you perhaps to get a glimpse of what a relationship, a contract, a partnership, a collaboration may allow you to obtain when Jupiter comes back in Pisces for a longer time, to go right through the sign in 2022. By the end of 2021, on the 29th of December, Jupiter will move away from Aquarius to transit through Pisces. And Pisces is your seventh sector, according to your sign or to your ascendant. Pisces represents house 7. And house 7 is, well, personal relationship. So your marriage, for example, it represents your partner, your spouse or your husband. It represents also your partnership, the way you deal with the idea of partnership, with the idea of collaborating with other people. And Jupiter is going to enhance that. It represents the official side of things. So you may be getting involved in whatever you want to get involved, but you may just get involved for the fun of it and not in an official manner. When Jupiter transits in a sign, so therefore in a sector of a chart, it creates a need to make things official. And this is what you will probably feel in 2021 when Jupiter transits in Aquarius. But because of Saturn, there will be something sort of holding you up, perhaps a reality that you cannot avoid, or perhaps something that you may dread more or less, or worry about, because it seems to be heavy and quite difficult to deal with. Whereas Jupiter represents the ability to really move forward and upwards in life and in society, Saturn represents the tendency that we have to sort of keep away from trouble, to keep aside, keep behind the stage rather than in front of it, which Jupiter may represent. So when Jupiter transits for a little while in Pisces, it will allow you to understand, or at least to see, even perhaps officially, what you may get in 2022 when the planet transits in your seventh sign. So it is worth actually the effort, because once you know what you are going to get, Jupiter moving back in Aquarius will of course form again in conjunct with your sign or your ascendant, and then you will need to go back onto whatever is not clear enough, not sure enough, not 100% guaranteed, or perhaps also to prepare even better what you want to get in 2022. 2022, because I think it's more focusing on 2022 may be much more rewarding for you than focusing absolutely on 2021 to succeed in the area of work and perhaps health as well. Just it means that maybe you will need to give more time to whatever is going on in order perhaps to understand better what is going on, and therefore deal with the situation or with your project or whatever. But if you have in mind to get into a partnership with someone, it may be a professional partnership, but it may also be a personal partnership, like a marriage, for example. You can, I think that you could very well focus on 2022 to realize the project, but between May and July 2021, then you may get involved in it in an official way, but for whatever is represented, that is either a partnership, professional, social, or personal, to become official really and concretize itself in December, at the end of December 2021, because on the 29th of December, Jupiter is going to move back in Pisces, and it will remain in there for most of the following year, 2022. But Jupiter and Saturn are not the only planets, working around the zodiac. There are others, and the next one I want to talk about is Uranus. Uranus is in Taurus. It's been in Taurus since 2019, March 2019. And it is going to remain in Taurus until 2025, 2026. It's a long transit. Uranus is very slow to revolve around the zodiac, slower than Jupiter and Saturn. It takes 84 years to do the full circle. So Taurus is an earth sign. And as I said earlier, all earth signs, fire signs, air signs, water signs together are complementary to one another, and therefore, they can really exchange their energies and make that energy even stronger and better. Uranus represents your ability to change and to adapt to changes. Now, Uranus represents Aquarius, and Saturn and Jupiter will be transiting in Aquarius. So, because Uranus represents Aquarius, it has sort of a kind of power on the energies of those two signs. It creates what we call a discordant configuration, a discordant aspect. It's a square, an angle of about 90 degrees. So Uranus is not very happy to see Jupiter and Saturn going through its own place. So it's getting a bit nervous. And that can make you nervous as well at times. And as I said before about the inconjunct between Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius and your sign, the inconjunct represents a tendency to hesitate, to worry about the right thing to do, and perhaps to have a tendency also to postpone what you want to do, what you should do on the very moment when the situation requires it. So Uranus may make you nervous because if you don't get what you want to get, you will get frustrated. But because Uranus is forming a very nice configuration with your sign or your ascendant, it will help you adapt. And the adaptation represented by Taurus, which is the ninth sign from your sign, is linked to the ninth sector of a chart, representing your situation on an official point of view in society. It represents everything that you can do on a legally or with the administration or whatever. It is representing also what you want to learn, what you need to learn to adapt and perhaps to change what you want to change. Because when Uranus changes sign, which will be in 2025, 2026, okay, it's still a few years to go, but time flies, you know. It means perhaps that what you will be doing while Uranus transits through that sign is learning to prepare a drastic and very important change when Uranus transits in Gemini from 2025, 2026 onwards. But, well, I'll talk about that in a few years, right? But anyway, it is quite interesting, and you can still watch the video that I made for 2020, because of course Uranus was in Taurus in 2020, and it was also in Taurus in 2019, so you can also watch the video. You will get some more information. The good thing is that Pluto, which is in Capricorn, is still in harmonious relationship with your sign, and it will be in harmonious relationship with Taurus as well. So Pluto represents your ability to regenerate, to stand up, sort of thing, to resist and to persevere in order to reach your goals or to deal with the situations wherever they are. So Pluto is giving you more strength and more determination, and that will be, of course, of great help while Saturn and Jupiter transit here in Aquarius. So all things are going around in various ways, of course, and the influences of the planets are cohabitating once again, and sometimes that cohabitation is not so easy. It is not easy between Uranus and Saturn and Jupiter here, but that is the reflection of what will be going on in the world in 2021. So naturally, we will all be impacted by what will be going on. And there are great changes coming and great difficulties for our societies, especially perhaps on the economic point of view. So that is going to affect us. And because Jupiter and Saturn are transiting the sixth sector, it means that you will need to sort of decide exactly what you want to do in order to preserve your safety and your position, perhaps, and your status on a professional point of view, as well as on a social and perhaps personal as well point of view. So now I'm going to talk about Lilith. Lilith is going to start a transit in Taurus in October 2020, this year. And the transit is going to last until July 2021. On the 18th of July, Lilith is going to change sign to transit through Gemini. While it is in Taurus, it will be helpful to you as a Virgo sign, sun sign, or rising sign, whichever it is. It will be useful because Lilith represents the darker zones in our lives, the unknown, what we don't know, what we don't want to know, what we don't want to see, what we don't want to understand, and so on. But also what other people don't want us to know, understand, or, you know. And this position of Lilith next to Uranus in discordant configuration with Jupiter and Saturn adds up to the world situation as far as knowing and not knowing. What do we know? What don't we know? What do they want us to know? What do they want us not to know? That is the question. And it is a very important question, because a lot of what is going to happen in 2021 is actually linked to the fact that we don't have enough information about what is going on, why it's been going on, how it started, when exactly, and in what situation, and so on. So that is going to be a source of added frustration to many people. So the situation is going to be quite unnerving and worrying in 2021 globally. Now, Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac. It has a relationship with house number 2 that represents money, the money we earn to eat. So it also represents food, and food comes from the earth, from the ground. So there will be also quite some difficulties to deal with that situation worldwide as far as agriculture and food are concerned. But in your case, because Lilith is around here in good relationship with your sign and in good relationship with Pluto as well, it will probably help you understand what others don't understand, and go and be, I would say, brave enough to go where other people don't want to go, because their fear of the unknown is holding them up. So that is also showing that you may shed some light on mysteries and on questions that you may have been asking yourself. So the answers that you will be able to give or to get will be a great help to sort of dissipate the mysteries and that darker zone on which you may also perhaps stand, or on which you may even count to gain rather than lose. So that is quite interesting actually, but it will be also quite tricky. But because remember, Jupiter and Saturn will be in Aquarius, and while they're in Aquarius, of course, they are still, pulling you more or less apart and making it more difficult for you to make a proper and definite decision. Chiron is in Aries. It's been in Aries since 2018, and the transit is going to last for 8 years, until 2026. While Chiron is in Aries, it is forming another inconjunct with your sign or your ascendant. And of course, the inconjunct represents an ambiguity, something that is difficult to do, to accept, and perhaps to get. Chiron has got a lot to do with health. So it may be your physical health, but it can be your health in other areas of your life. Your financial health, for example, your professional health, and so on. Chiron is transiting the 8th sector or 8th sign from your own sign or ascendant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is linked to the 8th house, representing your relationship in society, your financial relationship with society. So that's with the bank and anything that has to do with finances on a higher level than just what you earn from work, because that is represented by the second house or second sign from your sign. It means that if your finances are not very healthy, you may need to act and react in order to simplify and perhaps diagnose what is going on, and then find the right treatment, just like you would do if you were ill. So if it's not you physically, it is probably your situation, your financial situation. It doesn't mean that it is a terrible illness that is, a terminal sort of illness in your financial situation, but it means that there is a need to analyze, to observe, and to be rational about what has to be done in order to protect, to preserve, and to preserve your own interests, just like preserving as well the interests of other people who may be in relation with you financially, your family, for example, and so on. So Chiron is an interesting celestial body. It is an asteroid which orbits between Saturn and Uranus, and it is here forming a sextile, which is a good configuration with Saturn and Jupiter transiting in Aquarius. So that is something that is going to help also the world to find perhaps a treatment to what is going on, and perhaps get rid of that virus forever. That would be, of course, great news. But the damage that has been done to other sectors of our life is, of course, to be attended to, and will need to be attended to. Chiron represents the doctor, so in a way it represents the idea or the ability that you may have to be your own doctor in order to find out exactly what you have, and or what needs to be prescribed in order to recover a very good health. And you will be helped, because here, of course, there's two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, are transiting the sixth sector of work. So it is from work that the solution or the treatment, whatever it is, will probably come to enhance your ability to deal with the situation and to adjust to the situation, and therefore not be impacted too much, or not be penalized too much for what is going to happen economically in the world in 2021. Now, there is another planet I want to talk to before the end of this first part of the video. It is Neptune. Neptune is transiting in Pisces. It's not new. The transit started in 2012. It is going to last until 2026. Neptune is a very slow planet. It takes 165 years to transit right around the zodiac. It's going to remain 14 years in Pisces. And Pisces is the sign that is across the road, if I may say, from yours or your ascendant. As such, it represents, as I said earlier about Jupiter, it represents your seventh sector or seventh house. That is the sector of the chart representing your relationship with other people, your partnership potential, marriage, of course, personal partnerships or relationship, but also professional, social, and so on, human relationship, and the way you collaborate with other people. Now, Neptune's been in Pisces for a long time, and it represents that sign. So it means that Neptune represents your seventh sector or seventh house, And being in there, it shows, or it gives you the opportunity perhaps to realize a kind of ideal situation as far as personal or professional partnership or collaboration, whatever, is concerned. Are you using this potential? Most probably you do, spontaneously, without even thinking about it. If you look back since 2012, maybe you'll find out that things have progressed regarding your life as far as personal or professional or social partnerships or relationships are concerned. So when Jupiter transits in Pisces, just a little while in 2021, it will probably enhance the fact that Neptune represents your vision of the ideal situation as far as being with someone or being in partnership with someone, one or more people actually, is concerned. So it means that Jupiter may incite you to do things in a more official manner, but in perhaps morally as well, or philosophically, it's going to have a lot of importance. But what you are going to get while Jupiter is for a little while transiting in Pisces is nothing compared to what you will get when it does transit in that sign in 2022. So once again, I think that 2022 is the year on which you should perhaps focus in as far as what you want to get or to realize concretely and officially on a partnership point of view. So Neptune is sort of being, it is in opposition with your sign or your ascendant, and because of this opposition, it enhances the tendency to really want to believe, and your imagination is also much stronger. So perhaps that may be a source of confusion, because we all know that a dream is not necessarily something that is true, and what we feel, the intuitions that we have or the inspiration that we have, as long as they are not put to good use concretely, rationally, they're more or less useless. They're just, something that will sort of mobilize our brains for a little while and give us some satisfaction, but nothing more. Whereas Neptune is staying in this sign for a long time, it means that you will probably need to focus and to realize a project, an important project. And that may be realizable when Jupiter transits in Pisces in 2022. Knowing also, as I said earlier when I talked about Saturn and Jupiter, that Saturn is going to transit in Pisces from March 2023. And for 2.5 years, it will be in this sign, together, of course, with Saturn. So even 2022 and 2023 is another year during which everything that has to do with personal or other type of relationship is concerned, becomes very important and very concretely important. So get prepared. That's why I think that 2021 for you is a year during which you will most probably get prepared for much better times to come in 2022 and 2023, hopefully anyway. This is the end of the first part of this reading. In the second part, which you can watch right now, I am going to talk about Mars, Venus, and Mercury. See you soon then. Bye for now.